say that over the last 5 years or so, maybe we fell short on that in some regards. We didn't have enough people in the stores. We didn't have folks trained as well as they used to be. So those are things that as a company we have committed to going back in and fixing. So we've retrained everybody. We've gotten more folks on the sales floor in the store to help you wearing an apron, and these are knowledgeable folks. We've hired master electricians, master plumbers, things like that. So do we do a press release about that? Do we do an ad campaign to tell you how wonderful we are again? Is that genuine? Would that resonate? Would you even notice that? Really instead it's about how do we just continue to help people and do things, and that's where Twitter and our Facebook fan page and all these different tools that we use are just an extension of that. So when we say a focus on customer service through social media, what does that mean? If you're not doing things in your organization or your business now to already stand behind something like that, it's going to be a tough thing to talk about or to say. But because as a company we've taken so many steps, whenever I see someone who says, oh, I don't go there anymore, they don't ever have anyone to help me, I can say with full confidence, hey, come back and visit us. When was the last time you were here? And you'd be amazed at the reaction to that, and people that do test us on that and come back and say, wow, yeah, it is different, it is better, and that's what it's all about. So encouraging people to come back, give us another try, is something that we couldn't have done on social media anywhere or on Twitter or whatever without the idea of the entire company standing behind that effort. And all we're doing is telling that story in another place, real time, one-on-one with individual customers. As part of that, we do have a team of call center agents who I've retrained to work in social media directly. So these are folks who are answering our phones and answering emails from you all that have now learned, okay, these same conversations are happening online and I can help them now and resolve this in 5 minutes as opposed to waiting for them to have to get home, write us a letter, mail it, and all of that back and forth. We focus on sites that matter. This is going to be different for every organization in the room. What sites are important? Where are your audiences and your communities already connecting and talking and sharing? It's got to be personal. When we have someone offer help to someone who posts something on our Facebook fan page, we don't want to direct them to an 800 number. We also don't want to tell them to simply fill out a form on our website. Those channels of communication have been in place for years. And why would someone turn to our Facebook fan page if they prefer those other methods? So all we're doing, again, just like the video, we're trying to get them in the same place that they already are. So this aspect of, okay, you're already using Facebook to communicate, recognizing, per the video, that you've got tons of people doing that, 500 million people using Facebook. So gosh, make that somewhere that we should be communicating and prepared to communicate as well. So this aspect of offering someone help, giving them a name to contact, and then giving them a way to contact that person directly. And this is where not everyone's eager to share their personal information or their contact info, so we extend the olive branch to them. And that could be, and I can talk about customer service, but we're very transparent about anything. You want to ask me about our recycling policies, you want to ask me about whether or not our stores consume a lot of water, you want to ask me about whether or not we're opening stores in Argentina, any of those questions about our business that help you as a customer feel better about where you shop and where you choose to do your home improvement shopping, we can answer that for you. And that's something that, again, existing resources, existing staff, to some extent, as those communities grow, is where we've had to look at adding more people there. But the idea of who in your company already has access to that information or can help get an answer quickly or find an answer quickly and going there. So we are in the process of developing a centralized team, and we've identified our role. And I think this translates for any organization, not just a retailer. So our central team should have, we execute our social media strategies. So we don't just build the strategies, but we're the ones executing it. That means, when we post on Facebook, it's got to really be a Home Depot person. That's not something we've done through a spam bot or through, an outside partner or whatnot, because this is really our voice as an organization. We're the knowledge hub for the organization. So if you have questions about what the heck Facebook Places means, folks within Home Depot should know to come to my team and get our read on that, what's our point of view. We still encourage folks to talk to their other marketing partners and their other resources and friends and whatnot. But we're the ones that can pick up the phone and call Facebook and say, what's the deal with Facebook Places? we've got to be that knowledge hub. We've got to be on top of those trends. And that's really what keeps our team able to better serve the organization overall. And then client services. This is where we will sit down with the folks who are in charge of marketing our Windows products and figure out, okay, what can we do about Windows and social media? Not everything translates well, but the ability to say, okay, wait, if you've got something interesting going on or some innovation in the product, we have this line of products called Eco Options, which is our products that have been tested by a third party in our own validation that they have less of an impact on the environment. That's a fantastic story to tell through social media or to inform people about. So from a proactive standpoint, what kind of content could we be creating and sharing and distributing? And when I'm sitting down with the folks in Windows to ask them and probe them, what are those unique things? Now for any of us who are communicators, that's nothing new. Same thing about how do we determine, what required a press release or what would be a piece of marketing material. It's those same stories, just you've got a million different places now to tell those stories. Our approach is to first listen and engage. There's an awful lot of organizations out there who have got the listening down. And how many times have you been to a conference where they say, listen first? Okay, great. Get past that though. You've got to be ready to dive in. You've got to get comfortable and find your voice and dive in. That's a tricky part though. It's not a science. It's definitely an art. So the ability to not annoy folks or not be irrelevant. The other day I checked in on Foursquare. How many folks use Foursquare? Oh wow, lots of Foursquare users. Okay, good. Patrick, are you our mayor? Actually, one of the folks on our customer care team. But yeah, so basically, I checked in at Foursquare at a restaurant, and I was there for a team.
Foursquare?
Well, I don't want to get into too. Well, so yeah, how do I explain? I tweeted because it's connected to my Twitter handle. I tweeted that I was at a restaurant. I quickly, within about 15 minutes, got notice back from another Twitter handle that was some generic name that said, hey, I saw you were at such and such restaurant. Next time, try this other restaurant down the street. That is creepy. I don't like that, and that's where there's a lot of folks that would agree with that. That's just way too invasive, and who are you telling me to go to this other restaurant? And when you click through on that, you see that it's some random, I use the term spam bot a lot, and that's really what it is. So this aspect of whether it's any of these weird names, Foursquare, Gowalla, Twitter, that you hear about social media channels, you don't want to ever set anything up that's automated. You don't want to set things up that just hit people based on keyword, because you have no idea the context of that conversation. You don't know that your tweet's going to be relevant to that person at that moment in time, or that it's welcome. And so this aspect of engage, you've got to be careful how you engage, and make sure that you're doing it in a way that's appreciated and relevant, and adds value to whatever conversation is happening. But yeah, Foursquare is a mobile check-in, so it's based on the geolocation of your phone. Where's my phone? And it tells where you are. It's kind of like an online game, but it's something that, from a loyalty standpoint, means a lot to a retailer like us, because we have customers who will literally tell all their friends and family every time they're standing in a Home Depot store. And so what do we do with that? How do we connect with that person and thank them for coming, or notice that they come more often than any of their other friends, things like that. Yes?
Curiosity question, and maybe this is more for Kelly, and it's really not curiosity, I'm very interested in it. From the standpoint of your organization, and also from as an individual, what liability about what you say on social media, what liability are you setting yourself up for?
Let's see, is this on? No. They told me to turn it on. On. Is it on now? All right, I'll just talk. I think you wouldn't say anything you wouldn't say in a room like this. Because you can, and I'll talk about this a little bit before, because for smaller organizations, and we were talking about how you don't always know where your donations or where your volunteers hear about you. On social media, it's very easy to track how a message gets out, and it's fairly easy to target who's hearing it. So, as Sarah said, there's those hashtags. So when I tweet, I'll often put #nonprofit, #CSR. #green, because those are the kinds of things we're talking about, and so you can help get the people you're interested in see your messages because they can search on those terms. But that way you can also search where your message is going. I've heard the analogy before where people say, don't ever say anything in public that you wouldn't post on the elevator. Well, in social media, don't post anything that you wouldn't put a tablet of paper with that saying on it, because everyone can just take it and go. We see it as a way to push out a lot of our messages that aren't necessarily, as Sarah said, newsworthy. We're not going to put out a press release that we made a $10,000 grant to somebody, but I will put out a Twitter post that says we made a $10,000 grant to this great nonprofit in San Francisco, #SF. So then that way people who care about San Francisco can see it. Now you guys would search #ATL because you probably don't care about the $10,000 grant in San Francisco. But I think the fact that Sarah came from PR is indicative of the fact that you want to just see this as a new distribution mechanism, but shouldn't think about putting out messages that you're not comfortable with everyone hearing.
Yeah, no, that.
Sarah, I think you got another question.
Oh, yeah.
Just along those same lines, when your customers put negative feedback on your Facebook fan page, you respond to it, but do you keep it out there on your page, or do you scrub it at some point?
Yeah, no, great question. We do keep negative posts up. The only time that I would delete a negative post from our Facebook fan page, there's a couple of times. If people get personal, and not against us, they can be personal against us all day, but to each other. And for folks who have a Facebook page for your organization, people just get nasty sometimes to each other. It's kind of a platform where they see an opportunity to take advantage of that. So you, as the manager of that presence, should swoop in and say, guys, whoa, settle it down. This is a family show, and then delete stuff. Also, anytime there's bad language, and bad language directed at us, sometimes we'll keep up there. But if it's just bad language for the sake of bad language, it comes down. Also, religion, race, all these types of discussion that Home Depot's fan page is not the appropriate place to have that, and we'll state why. Hey, you know what, guys, not the place to have that discussion. We're here to talk about homes and projects and communities. Take that discussion elsewhere. So we do some level of management of what can stay on the page, but we're very, aggressive, or we're progressive, if you will, in leaving negative commentary, absolutely. Because if you delete it, they're going to come back and tell that whole board, just leave it a comment. And then they're going to comment even in a more pointed way.
Thank you.
Good. So great. Just an example here on the board of. Oh, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
I work for the track club, and so when each registration was down, we got flooded with negative comments, and we didn't have time to respond to everything. So how do you handle almost a crisis situation?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Crisis situation is a great point. So I will say, being there, first of all, even having a presence and seeing that conversation took place is, score number one. How many folks aren't even aware of conversations that do, come to a crisis level online, and whether or not you're aware of that? So yeah, it does require maybe some more hands on deck that are on standby to help you out. So other folks that you know who you'd be comfortable saying, here's our login, go help us out. So other people that you work with there. But I think too, just the idea of triage. So doing a quick scan and seeing, okay, who's most upset right now? And how do I reach that person? Because they're probably the one that has the power to reach the most folks then as well, and spread the word that we did react or respond. And obviously the idea of looking at how many followers someone has. Now we don't use that as a guide to respond because everyone's important, but the aspect of in a crisis, how do you reach those folks that have the most followers first and help us spread the word? Here's, let me clarify what happened, or here are the details that you need to know, that type of thing. But yeah, that's a tough test of, why are you there? Is to connect in times like that, right?